Hi, you guys. We'll be on. We're going to start at 7:30, which is in a few minutes. Thanks for being here and hang on. Also going to post the. Hi, you guys. We'll be on. We're going to start at 7:30, which is in a few minutes. There we go. Turn the volume down. I'm going to post the Zoom link in a second. Hang on. I'm just going to set this up a little higher. There we go. Look at that. All right. And then I can put you in. Back. Emily sent me these pictures from the birthday time.
Cute. So cute. This is out there, or is this here?
This is here at the zoo.
Oh,
Yep.
Cool. Zoe and
Boy.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Studying her in her house coat and
I was leaving her house that morning really early.
That's what I figured.
Mhm.
That's cute. Adorable. The lake.
Isn't she hot?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble loading. Maybe we'll go in this way. It's sweet, eh?
Yes, very.
Okay, you guys, we're getting close here. Just going to put the link on here for the Zoom call if anybody'd like to come on Zoom with us. And let me see. So I've just put it on. Here we are. In the comments. Okay, there it is in the comments on the Bally and Beyond page. And I'm just going to come over and put it in the comments on my personal Facebook page. And then if you'd like to, you could join us on Zoom. Okay. All right. Well, I guess it didn't show up on on the personal page. Let me see if I can share it. There. I can share it here. Join us on Zoom. Now, go back. Okay, we're getting close. I think that it is 7:30. There we go. All right. Well, if some of you'd like to, you could join us on Zoom. I've just posted the Zoom link to Valley Beyond's Facebook page and also to my personal David McElwain's Facebook page. So if you'd like to join us on Zoom, that would be awesome. Oh, well, here we are to Monday evening meditation group. I know, and have a beautiful space down here in my home, and I just have to get out and beat the drums a bit to get people to come on a Monday night. And I understand that we're so used to not going out anywhere, aren't we? Mm-hmm. So, but JR, I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
JR is happy to be here, and Nathaniel's been here the last 3 Monday nights, but he has a sniffle, and he's being considered. Yes, that was the word I was looking for. of us and keeping his sniffle to himself, wherever he happens to be. So that's that. I'm just looking now. Where are we? Oh, good. Hey, James Johnson is watching. Good for you, buddy. So, I never really know where to start with this. Here we are going to talk a little bit about meditation, and for me, it seems so clear that if I'm not taking time to sit quietly, that I can easily get distanced from source, if you will. Now, I recognize that the truth is that I'm not distanced from source, but I can lose my connection. If you kind of like, it's because source is always right here. I mean, we're in source. This is source. This is God. This is, but somehow I have an ego that overshadows this oneness that I've been experiencing. Hang on a second. I'm just going to close the door. Do you want to close the door? Okay. JR is going to close the door. Yeah. I'm starting to feel a little coolness from the fall evening. It is fall, isn't it? How you doing? James, where are you at? Are you there? Hi, guys.
Hi, James.
JR says hi. We love you. Just stay with us. We'll love you until you can love yourself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, meditation. Do you guys do it? Are you meditators? I wish there was, in a way, I'm going to turn this like this a little bit so I can kind of have this in front of me a bit, and I can also see JR. and I have to say that if our priority is to connect with universal intelligence, with God, with the one, with the Tao, with the quantum field, with the Father of Light, whatever it is that you call it. If you have a desire or a pull towards that, or like some of my friends, it's not really desire or pull, it's a necessity. It's like, holy shit, I have to do this or I'm screwed. Then meditation is like comes with the territory. We if we don't take the time to sit quietly, how do we make that connection? Usually what I like to talk about is that what the experience is outside of the connection, because the experience inside the connection, or when we are feeling one, is hard to describe. It really is. And so let's imagine that that you thank you. Let's imagine that you were born sometime in the last 35 or 40 years, and you grew up in a likely a Canadian family or an American family, and in a community, and mom and dad, if you had a mom and dad, maybe just mom, maybe just dad, did the best they could with you. And maybe they took you to church and told you that it was a good idea to have some sort of a God in your life. And maybe when you were a little guy or a little gal, your idea of God was kind of like Santa Claus. And because, Santa Claus was often sold to us or shared with us as somebody who knew if you were naughty or nice. And in a way, Santa Claus was a behavior modification tool, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And I think that mom and dad may have even used God as a behavior modification tool, right? And so we were conditioned that we had to perform in a certain way if we wanted to have the blessings of this God. And and we grew up with that. Now, by the time I was 14 or 15, I already realized that I screwed that up fully. That if my relationship with God was based on my behavior, I was screwed. It was over. And so I have had what I like to tell people, because I work with people a lot in this and helping people to make this connection, and that we had what I call a Sunday school idea of God, that was given to us. It was really simplified, but it had in it the ingredients of a behavior modification tool. You realize that God could see everything. Damn. I remember having, my first sexual experience, and just be me and God there. And I remember feeling awfully guilty, and so we started to have guilt, right? And because we've been told that God was watching all the time, busy guy, and he was a person, kind of a personified concept, and so I remember that after a while I kind of got tired of the guilt, and just said, I said, fuck it. I did. I said, all right, I'm busted, and that's it. And it was around that time when I discovered drugs and alcohol. And for me, with drugs and alcohol, we immediately erased the guilt. I believe that the concept that we got as children of God actually did more harm than good. I believe that because we lived in fear, I was afraid of him, and we lived in guilt and shame because I knew that if God was aware of all my thoughts, I was screwed. I had a lot of guilt and shame. So where did fear and guilt and shame come from? At a very early age. It wasn't, I could bullshit mom and dad, but I couldn't bullshit God, because they told me he knew. And so I just had to live under the yoke of guilt and shame and fear. And so eventually, when I discovered drugs and alcohol, and that relieved me of that that burden of guilt and shame and fear in the beginning, and then I went all in. Right? I never really thought of it this way before. That, you know, how that story was damaging. The story of you know, a kind of a punishing God, kind of an angry God, kind of a judgmental God, had me living in guilt and shame and fear. You know, because I fell way short. I was a full-on human little boy, and I got in a lot of shit. But I got to a place pretty young where I just said, to heck with it, screw it. And so how do we go from there to here? And one of the things that, you know, I mean, it's been a complete, you know, a continuous education. I recognized that the drugs and alcohol and lifestyle was killing me, literally. And so I also recognized that I was probably going to be around longer than I thought. I believed that, you know, I was certainly the unwashed, and that I wouldn't live past, you know, I didn't think I was going to past 18 or 21 or 25. And I think a lot of young people have that idea that, you know, they are so unworthy, and that we're not going to survive. And I think a ton of it comes out of this concept that we were fed of God, and that our parents, you know, used it as a behavior modification tool, behavior mod, and probably had no idea how damaging that was. And to be quite honest with you, I've never thought of it this way before. It's never come through like this. You know, who was I afraid of? God. You know, nobody said, you know, I mean, the story I got about God was, you know, punishing, angry, judgmental, and all knowing. You know, all knowing. You know, gosh, really got, once I got to be like 14 and 15, started, you know, thinking sexually, because, you know, I was also taught that was bad. Then I was really messed up, right? Mm-hmm. And so from bringing that with me, you know, and I mean, literally, I in my 20s and early days in sobriety, either had my head down out of shame, or I was ready to go. And fight or flight, you know. And so some of you might relate to this, you know, and the long process of awakening. You know, for me, it took a long time. It doesn't have to. It really doesn't have to. You know, I think we need to first of all recognize that many of us have a misgiven idea about what we call God. You know, and that we can let that go. It's not true. There is no separate guy in the sky, in the skies. There is no separate entity that is God. How about that? How about that? You know. So what we call God is we're in it. It's the creative force. It's the creative force. It's not a separate entity that's judging and planning ahead. You know, testing us. It's not a creative force that's testing us. See if we're worthy. See if we're qualified for God's blessing and God's grace. God's blessing and God's grace is available to everybody. And meditation is one of the ways we connect. Not so that we can be seen, but so that we can see ourselves in our old persona and let it go. And our old persona was formed, most of it, out of this idea that we were unworthy. And many of us had come up really big to prove that we weren't, right? And have done the best we can to prove ourselves to God and to others, you know, as if God's a separate being and as if others give a shit. And of course, people love us, but you know what I mean? You know, they don't really even know us because we're acting and we're often very selfish. You know, we're worried about how we look and worried about, you know, how do I become successful? How do I get more? How do I, you know, how do I be successful in a relationship? God, we're so ill-equipped, aren't we? You know, but the foundation of the problem comes out of this idea of about our relationship with God, in my opinion. So if this one thing can shift, just this one thing, if we can recognize that what Bill Wilson said. Bill Wilson was one of the co-founders in Alcoholics Anonymous, and Bill said, God either is or he isn't, either he's everything or he's nothing. If he's everything, then what does that mean? You know, if he's everything, he's everything. And so somehow we've gotten distanced and you know, because when we came in, I love talking about babies because, you know, you've all seen babies. They're like, we see the divinity in them. Like, oh my gosh. What do we say when we see a newborn baby? Oh my God. Don't we? Always. Oh my God. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. Right? So amazing. You know, and we say that a lot actually when we see something that's amazing, a sunset. You know, the beautiful synchronicity of how things fall together, and we go, oh my God, isn't that amazing? You know, so and in a way, it's just there. So, but in the baby, it's there, and somehow, you know, that little infant becomes two, right? And what do we call the 2-year-old? The terrible twos. Could you imagine ever saying that? Did you ever say that?
Terrific twos.
Yes, well, so did I. I called them the tremendous twos, the terrific twos. And I've heard people say, you know, the terrible two is not correct. And I say, just a second. You know, whose kid is that? Well, that's my kid. You know, somebody came along and said that about something about your kid. You defend it, wouldn't you? How can you do that? Anyway, so we got, not only we get a funny story about this relationship with a higher power that was actually conjured up like a lot of the other lies that we all told our children, right? But many of us didn't know better. We didn't. We were still kind of going to church and praying to a separate God. And we believed in that there's a separate, you know, thing that is looking over us, that's watching over us. And it's a very, very immature idea of this amazingness that is everywhere. You know, in my opinion, forgive me for saying so, but, you know, if I don't say so, we're still stuck in this old idea that breeds guilt and shame. Because we're human. But imagine that the universe has no judgment on us, ever. If the universe has no judgment, who judges us? We do. We do. We judge ourselves and we judge each other. So we're going to look at, how do we let that go? How do we just be here right now, without judgment, without fear, without complaint, without shame, without guilt, without desire? I want. And is when we go to I want, we're not here. We've already left the moment. So everything has been telling us forever and ever, be here now. Gratitude is for this moment. Be here now with gratitude, and let go of the judgment of ourselves. No matter what you've done or haven't done, no matter what you've done or haven't done, you are more than worthy of this connection. This is you. This is me. This oneness that's here is us. So the process of seeing that our thoughts and our beliefs are separate, they're not true. Our thoughts and our beliefs are separate, they're not true. Trusting that if we live in the moment and actually allow life to live us instead of us trying to live life, and everything will be perfect because our natural state is unconditional love. We see that in the baby, don't we? When the baby's there, don't we see it? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, look at, oh my gosh, I just love it. Because we see our natural state in the infant. If you've ever been with anybody when they're dying, it's the same. It's the same. They just become innocents. And it's, they're in their natural state at the end of life, in the beginning of life. And in between, we can have that. We can be that love. Well, we're on a roll. We're on a roll. So it's the only thing that makes it difficult is that our conditioning is so strong. We believe we are separate. We believe that. We believe that there's something not necessarily right or good about ourselves, who we are. We have judgment on ourselves and others, and we're quick to judge ourselves and others. And that's what separates us. And that's what, we're looking for love from other people. And it isn't in other people. It is in other people, but we don't get it. It doesn't come that way. We are that. We are that. There's a friend of mine on the call on Facebook. Hi, Greg. And I remember the first time Greg came on and he said, wow, David, it's a pretty big deal talking about God. And, Greg and I grew up together in the same town, and, we were crazy kids together and got in a lot of shit and knew a lot of people got in a lot of shit, but here we are now, all these years later. Is life just about what we accomplished? Is that what life's about? Is it just about what we accomplished or where we came from, or, how many marriages we had, or how many kids we have, or how our kids turned out? What is it about? If that's all it's about, wow, I believe that life is an opportunity for us to really directly experience each moment. And when we start to live in the moment, life gets brighter and bigger and, so real. It is a bit like doing acid. It is. It's like, oh my gosh, the colors pop, and I have some friends who just did the Enlightenment Intensive this weekend. I've done it before. I've talked to you about the Enlightenment Intensive before. And it's it's a quick road to awakening. This is what we're talking about, is awakening. And this is a quick road to awakening. And the Enlightenment Intensive is, 3 or 4 days with asking the question, tell me who you are. Tell me who you are. Tell me who you are. And waiting for the answer each time, and then alternating it. And eventually the brain, who thinks it knows who you are, not only runs out of things to say, but starts to recognize that, holy shit, I'm not those things. We start to let go of all of our identities and all our attachments. And as we let go of our identities and our attachments to the way that we think life should be, or who we are in it, whether I'm a man, whether I'm a woman, as we let go of those things, we become we become like nothing. We become, and Ram Dass talked about becoming nobody, right? And we become, I am, nothing. I was listening to Muji today, and he told a story about a beggar, or a Sufi, I guess it was at the door of this king's castle, banging on the door and banging on the door. And the Sufi was naked, banging on the door. And the king came, and who do you think you are? He said. And the Sufi was, I think, preaching to him. And he said, the king said, do you think you're God? And the Sufi said, no, I'm more than that. And the king said, nothing is more than God. And the Sufi said, I am nothing. I am that. I am that. And it was an amazing story, Yeah, I am nothing. I am that. And so as we drop all of those identities, don't worry, you can pick them all back up again. Then you have this experience of, holy shit, and we let go of our attachments and our wannabes and our desires and our anger and our fear, and we're free in the moment. And that happens. It's happened to me. It happens, and don't worry about it. It can come back. But once you've been in the water, once you got wet, you know what it's like, and it we can get back into fear and doubt and all that stuff, but we don't have to stay there anymore, because we know, and we wake up often, 100 times a day for me. Look, this is happening. My mind will drift into story and meaning, making meaning. I call our mind the meaning making machine, and it'll drop into that, making reasoning. This is happening for this, and this is happening for that. It's always cooking up story. It loves to make up stories, right? And then it's just full of shit. But you can, once you've dropped in, once you've had the experience, you can wake up again and again and again. It's like, and the trick is not to give it any energy. When fear comes in, oh my God, what's going to happen? Maybe Trump will win the election. Oh my God, it's like, who gives a shit? It's really not our business. Be here now, and I see people that I'm surprised at how they get caught up in current events, like it's real. And I'm like, whoa, let's be here now. What's happening right now? Nothing. Great. So just breathe. Come into your breath. Right. Feel your body. Feel where you're sitting. What's happening right now? Are you here now? Yes. What's happening right now? No, nothing. So when you get to the nothing, you realize that life is free. We don't have to worry that we'll miss something or forget to pay the rent or forget to go to work. Life still goes on. We still participate. We're just not giving it all a lot of energy, and the stress falls off us. Stress. What is stress? The number one killer, they say. It's just bullshit fear, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We call it stress. I'm so stressed. I have to take pills. I'm sorry, you guys, but hello, what are we stressed about? Nothing. It's all made up. It's all a story. So it brings us around to meditation. Hey, meditation can be fun. Actually, that was that was an old album.
Really?
Oh yeah, it wasn't meditation either. It was another word, but Honestly.
Mhm.
So it's, I don't know. Is anybody tired of being full of fear? Anybody tired of pretending? Here's what we do. We pretend that we know. We build a persona. I have a friend who has you know, I love him. I really do love him. And he's so polished in his persona. He's so polished. He just, and, I empathize because I spent a lot of years in this, in a persona, you know, and somebody said to me the other day, I'm just bouncing around here a little bit, but I was riding my Harley, and they said, well, isn't that a persona? And of course it is. And, there's a whole costume that goes with it, and a whole, and but I'm there consciously. I'm aware, right? That the persona is not me. I'm I'm not. I love riding my bike. I enjoy it. That yesterday I put 400 clicks on it. It was amazing. You know, and I'm waving at all the bikers as they go by, and we're all part of this, right? This big fraternity, if you will, and so. And we do that. Another thing that we identify with is groups. I'm from the Maritimes. Where are you from? Right? I'm Scottish descent. How about you? And it's all just stuff. It's a story, right? So if you have all those stories, I mean, we do, just don't hold them tightly. Just hold them loosely. Same in the relationship. Why are we stressed in a relationship? Because we're needy. We want something, and we hold it tightly, too tightly sometimes, and as a result, it's not fun, right? It's not fun. Or because we don't feel worthy in a relationship, we tell stories. We oversell ourselves, and I've done that a lot over the years, and oversold, underdelivered. Wondered why they were upset. Because I didn't know how to be present. I didn't know how to just be there and accept what was happening in each moment, to live in acceptance. Yeah. So it's available for everyone. Living in acceptance, living in the moment. And in the moment, like Eckhart Tolle says, is where the power is. In the moment is where the power is, because that's where universal intelligence is. It can't be met anywhere else, right? So how can we be here now? A number of things can bring us into the moment. I believe that prayer can. My prayers are never prayers, my old prayers used to be, get me out of this one, baby. Get me out of this one and I'll be different. I'll change. I'll go to work for you. I'll turn my life over. Just talk to the judge for me. Right? We call those let's make a deal prayers. Don't do that anymore. I don't do that. Life is just what it is. And of course, I'm not in that position anymore very often either. Not accepting what's happening, no matter what's happening, living in it as if it's exactly what needs to happen in the moment, because that's what's happening. It must be. It can't be anything else. And could it? How could it be anything else? Cheers, you guys. So prayer can bring us into the moment. My prayers are all prayers of show me thy will be done. Show me what you have me to be. Guide me. That's all they are now. I don't have, and they're not to some, it's interesting about concepts. There's a part of my mind that likes concept. There is, and so that has a almost a, and maybe this is just a progression, but in the big book in Alcoholics Anonymous, it talks about God the employer, and I kind of like that concept. Again, I know it's just when it goes against everything I just said, but there not being a separate God. But part of my mind enjoys having a concept that I can relate to. So it says in the book, just prior to the third step in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, says we had a new employer, being all powerful. He took care of all of our needs. As long as we stayed close to him, performed his work well. And staying close to him is prayer and meditation, right? And performing his work well that's my deal. That's kind of the deal that we make when we get recovery. Because many of us got recovery, we're literally pulled back from the gates of hell. They say that Christians and lots of religious people stay close to God because they want to go to heaven. Well, we stay close to God because we've been in hell. And we know what it's like to live in that confused, fearful state, So we've been there. And so how do we stay close to this moment? Prayer brings me into this moment. I had a friend call me the other day, and she was really upset about something. Like she was like, David, this is, wow. She was really upset, and my solution isn't, tell me what's going on so I can help you fix it. I never even asked. She was just all upset, right? She wasn't, calling me to tell me that there'd been a big car accident or something like that, where I might be able to come and help. But it had something to do with something much more personal. And I just said, are you sitting down? Can you sit down? And she said, yes. And I said, can you take a minute? And she said, yes. And so I just told her to close her eyes and take a deep breath. Because the breath brings us into the moment, just to focus on the breath. Already the things that were bothering her, what was going on in her life, started to melt away because they aren't in the moment. In the moment is freedom, just the moment. Here we are. She took a few deep breaths. I encouraged her to just be in her body, feel her body sitting on the chair. Recognize that in this moment, is there anything out of place? And if you can do this, come into the moment, be here now. Nothing is missing. Nothing is out of place. We're just here. It's beautiful. You'll find if you do this for a while, that this can be done in an instant, in one breath, wherever you are. It can bring you into the moment. And then after you've been doing it for a while, if fear comes in, you can actually use fear to come into the moment. You'll see it. And you'll know that you're not your thoughts, and you're not the fear. The fear and the thoughts are they're just passing. And you are not passing. You are in the middle of this show. You are not passing. And you see it, and as soon as you see it, you're here. You're present. Same with guilt or fear. So you can use those things to build ourselves into the now. So whatever it is, whether it's breath, feeling into our body, seeing an emotion, watch the emotion. Anger comes up, watch the anger. And as soon as we're present watching it, the anger melts away, the fear melts away, we're here. As we do that, we begin to look around in this moment and to see what else is here. And we see the expanded version of who we are. The other thing that can bring us into the moment is meditation. We're going to do that in a minute. So while we meditate, we're sitting comfortably, and then sometimes thoughts are coming like crazy. We're thinking about, remember, it used to be more so this way, but I would think about food or sex or work or relationship or all of these things, that because my mind was accustomed to always catastrophizing and always going from drama to drama, and so it liked to continue to do that, and so I began to be present and watch that. And as I was watching it, it stopped. It started to slow down. It's like, oh, and you'll kind of miss them because we're used to getting the high of having a problem. Big problems, big status. We'd run to our friends and say, "Oh, look, I have this problem. I have that problem." And so in the beginning, we'll kind of miss these problems. We'll think, well, what am I going to do? I don't have a problem. I need a problem to survive. And we don't. We start to let them go. And we start to be in the flow of the moment. We're living in the river of life as opposed to, always wrestling. No wonder we're tired. We're going from problem to problem. And the mind is always trying to dig up shit, things that may or may not be going on, likely aren't going on. Thinking about the past, what did she mean by that? Gosh, I wonder if they're going to call, and then all just stuff in the mind. In meditation, we get to watch that, we get to be here, we practice being here, and the more we practice being here, the more we actually eventually don't need to meditate as a practice, because we're living in that state all the time. It becomes a way of being, and we're in this expanded state, in the expandedness of the moment, instead of a contracted state in fear or guilt or shame or desire. I want, right? That's all contracted. And the other's expanded. Acceptance, consideration of others, compassion. All of those things are available in the moment. Love, unconditional love. No fear. Mostly in the past we were afraid to show ourselves because, what if somebody criticized? Whatever. Doesn't matter. So that's not where I expected to go today. But let's meditate for a little bit. Okay, we're going to sit for a whole 15 minutes. And are you going to set the timer for me? Yeah. JR is going to set the timer. JR, any comments on, any thoughts for something? I mean, I know, no.
No.
Yes. That kind of flowed out, didn't it?
Great.
Yeah, I never thought of this idea that the story that we were given about divinity or God had the potential to do damage. I never saw that, it's easy for me to see that the Santa Claus story kind of broke the trust a bit. It's like, Jesus, so they lied to me about that. What else do they lie about? But I didn't have the depth to see, and I kind of liked the Santa Claus story. I remember I pretended I still believed it for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to meditate. I shouldn't have put that in my mouth. And we're going to meditate for about 15 minutes. I'm going to turn off a light. Hang on a second. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Just going to try something different. see how that feels. Mm. Look at that. I like that. Yeah, that's way better. Okay. Do you know what's great about living in the moment too? Is that we'll intuitively know stuff. And as we practice trusting our intuition in the moment, we get more of it. And then after a while, they'll say that you're wise. Whoever they are. But you know, it's like a flow. And yeah, sometimes I get an intuition, then my ego argues with it. You know, it's like, oh, something that later it's like, oh, I should have listened to that. Because my ego makes up stories and argues with it. Okay. So we're going to meditate for a few minutes. I'll speak a bit. You know, I'm not that big on guided meditations because I think that we want to really experience the mind in all its struggle, confusion sometimes, you know, all its, so just watch it. So find yourself a spot, you know, it's be in a spot. And I have, just as a little pitch, some of you may remember that I had all of these meditation stools, and I used to have a store. Well, I still have a whole bunch of those left, these meditation stools, and I have little altars, and you know, I have singing bowls and salt lamps and all of this stuff from another life, right? And I used to own a store, and I have, you know, chakra banners and all kinds of stuff, incense, and so just a little pitch, one line, have a look at that stuff. And, you know, give me a call. And I have a little shop I set up in the basement here. It's come a long way from. It looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Looks fabulous.
Yeah, looks pretty good. And I think at one time I literally had 3 shops going, probably around 20,000 square feet of retail space, and life just has surprises for us, right? And now I'm in about 200.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
And it's great. I've never been freer. So, okay, we're gonna just sit, with feet on the floor. And remember the breath. The breath is the key. Just breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. What we're doing with meditation is we're growing in awareness. We're growing in consciousness. Being conscious of ourselves, with our breath, conscious of our breath. So the breath brings us into this moment right now. Now we're going to feel into our bodies. Remember, a lot of us spend a lot of time in our heads. A lot of our life is lived above our shoulders. Let's bring ourselves, our attention down into our beautiful body. And it doesn't matter what you think about your body. It is beautiful. It is perfect. It is amazing. And it has served you. It's not you. It's a vehicle. You've been living in this body. right? Just recognize it. We take better care of it, I think, if we recognize it is a vehicle. It's been loaned to us. It's a gift. We live in it. So just feel it. Feel your feet. If they're on the floor, just feel your feet on the floor. Feel way down into your feet. Bring your attention with your breath down into your feet. Just feel it on the floor, however they are. Feel your calves, bring your energy and your attention up your legs into your calves. Just feel them. Feel your knees. All the shit and abuse your knees take. Mine are a little beat up these days, but they're healing. Beautiful. The beautiful regenerative body that we have regenerates. Those new cells completely changes. Feel your thighs. Bring your energy into your upper legs, feet, your calves, your knees, your thighs, and up into your hips, your butt. Feel your butt sitting on the chair. You're on the chair, so you're in your body. You're here right now. In your body, just imagine. Don't imagine, just be here. Just not imagine at all. We're here right now with our breath in our body. So maybe pull your little sphincter up a little bit. Just feel that. In your body, just give everything a squeeze down there. Just feel your lower back, your belly, your hips. Just feel the energy rock up. Your spine. You're right in your spine right now. Feel yourself into your shoulders. Your breath into your belly. Just let your shoulders drop. Feel the energy roll down your arms. Just turn your hands so that they're facing up. Just feel the energy roll into your elbows and up your forearms. You almost feel the heat in the palm of your hands. As you're sitting, the energy flows in your body. It's always there, but you can feel it right now because you're there. You're in your body, in your breath. Feel your belly, your chest, your heart. Just imagine your heart, the center of your life. Your lungs gives oxygen to your body, gives oxygen to your heart. At your shoulders, just feel the energy roll up your body into your neck, front of your neck, back of your neck, to the back of your head. Totally feel your jaw, just let it drop. Just let all the tension roll out of your jaw. You hold a lot of tension in your shoulders and your jaw and your neck. The tension's all from that make-believe story that creates tension in your body. None of that exists in the mind. Stress is totally a reaction to a make-believe story that we have control over, that we can let go. Be here in health, free. Bring your energy up back of your head into your skull, just feeling your head. Just feel all of that energy that rolls up into your head. It just expands. If there are any sounds anywhere, recognize that we hear them inside of our head. I know it feels like it's outside, the sound is outside, but we actually hear it inside. So we can expand our presence around your head to make our presence and our energy and our aura, make it be in that expanded version of you. Takes in everything in the room. You're one with everything in the room. One with everything outside of the room. Breathe in. Totally here now. If thoughts come, just let them go. Just watch if a thought comes to just let it go. Bring your attention to it and ask to have it let go. Like it gives you anything. And sometimes, if the thought's really persistent, I will say thank you, thank you, thank you. A million thank yous. And gratitude will override the thought. And then you can just release the gratitude and be here now. Thing that never was, never is, never will be, is now. It's all here now. Nothing is missing. We're in a perfect universe. We are here in this perfect universe. Accessing all the power, everything there is. It's going to leave you right there. You be back to the breath. Wow. Just take your time going down. Come back into your body. Sometimes you kind of move your fingers and toes a little bit to get back here. So I hope that tonight, some of what I might have said will encourage you to practice meditation. There's no mystery to meditation. It's really sitting, watching your thoughts, letting them go. There's some great books I could recommend, or authors. I've been listening to Mooji a lot lately, Mooji. It's just an amazing speaker, and has nailed it. He really has, and I enjoy how he walks us into this space of the now. It leaves everything behind. It's beautiful. I've also listened to a lot of Ramdas over the years, and Alan Watts. These are all fellows that have had the awakening experience, and became good at sharing it. And of course, the 12 steps in AA and NA and CA are a spiritual program. They're not a belief program, they're an experience program. And so when you do the steps, you have the experience of an awakening. It's an awakening program. And so I recommend those. And you're looking and you're saying, how do I have this peace? How do I get this, stress-free life? Well, I just share it with you. And it's not exclusive. It's not, anybody, it's inclusive. Anybody can have it. Anybody can live it. And it's, maybe takes some practice. Associating with people who are doing it, I think, is helpful. And listening to the other guy that I really love also is Dr. David Hawkins. Hawkins is amazing. I'm really big on the 12 steps as well. His first book was Power versus Force. And his last one before he passed was called Letting Go. Beautiful, beautiful books. And there's also lots of YouTube videos. And Eckhart Tolle. Totally is amazing. So there's so many great teachers available to us right now, to help the world wake up. And I personally believe that the best thing, if you want to, many of us want to make a difference on the planet, the most important thing that can happen, that you can do, is to wake up, to focus in what we're talking about, and become awakened. And you can have this, you can have it. It's there for you. Thanks, Jennifer, for joining us. And next week, we're going to start at 7 for Jennifer. Right, Jennifer? 7 o'clock. And JR's here, and she likes 7 as well. 7 is so next week we'll do this at 7 o'clock. And tomorrow at 11, we're going to read the Bhagavad Gita. We start tomorrow on Tuesday. And I had said I was going to read it Wednesday and Thursday. Jennifer. I said I was going to read it Wednesday and Thursday at 11. But I've been called into work, and I've recognized that, things flow. So I will read Wednesday and Thursday, but probably a little later in the day. I'll let you know. I'm thinking that I'll read probably at 6 in the evening, Wednesday and Thursday. And this is a beautiful book. Hi, Liz Funk. L-E-S. Hi, Miss Funk. So anyway, join us tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We're going to be on Zoom. I'd like to have some of you on Zoom with your book, And we're going to start in the beginning, in the introduction. This is a translation of the Bhagavad Gita by Stephen Mitchell, and it's like for me, we're venturing into territory. This is an amazing book, and it's not a story. Well, it is a story, but it's more than the story. You know, it's a story between Krishna and yes, Krishna and Arjuna, and it's an amazing story. But it's Hawkins said this book vibrates at 915, like over 900, and Hawkins did a scale between 0 and 1,000. I'm going way off the topic here, but and the top of his scale was Christ consciousness at 1,000. He says this book, so get a copy of this book. Get a copy. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to do that, and love you guys. Thank you for sharing space. Thank you for this that you're doing for yourself, and I believe if you recognize that everybody benefits, your family benefits as you move into a place of peace, a place of non-judgment, a place of acceptance, a place of love in each moment. Everybody benefits. It's a gift to the world. So let's keep at it. Okay. Love you so much. We'll talk tomorrow if you join me. And in the morning at 9ish, we're still going to do my reading from the 24-hour day book. I've got a busy day doing 2 readings, but I really want us to do this Bhagavad Gita thing for a long time. And who's going to benefit? Moi, right? Moi. Hi, Kathy Lynn. Where are you? We miss you tonight. So tomorrow, 11 o'clock, Bhagavad Gita. Love you guys so much. Talk soon. Okay, bye.